I'm Joe Dumas. I'm a professor at UTC, but unlike about 90% of my colleagues, I'm not a socialist. Some of you may remember me from last year when we came very close to replacing Mr. Chip Tax and Spend Baker on the school board. I'm also treasurer of the Tennessee Republican Liberty Caucus. And we're all here today because it's April 15th, and that's the day that we sadly acknowledge just how much money Uncle Sam has stolen from us in the last year. And most of the speakers that are going to come out today will probably focus on the waste and unconstitutional spending that our federal government engages in, not to mention the hidden inflation tax that the Federal Reserve creates by their ability to just print money out of nothing. And they're right to focus on the federal level because there's some really huge problems at that level that absolutely demand our attention. But what I'd like to briefly address is how our state and local governments get caught up in the process of acting as agents for the federal government and interfere in our lives and steal even more of our money because of that. And I would like to urge you to put pressure not only on the federal government officials, which you've already been doing, but also on the city and county and state officials to end these abuses of power and give us poor tax-paying citizens a break. Got a question. How many of you out there have a driver's license or a state-issued photo ID? Most of you. Quite a few of you. Well, you're probably aware of something called the Real ID Act. It was passed by Congress, and it puts an unfunded and unconstitutional mandate on the states to redesign their IDs to meet federal standards. And that winds up costing you more money. When the cost of producing ID cards goes up, who do you think is going to pay that? And that's not to mention the extra time and bureaucracy you're going to have to fight through to get that ID. How many of you drive a car that's registered here in Hamilton County? Yeah. Quite a few again. If you know that every year, in order to renew your tag, you have to go get an emissions inspection that was voted in by the Hamilton County Commission a few years ago. Yeah, that's what I said. They did that under pressure from, you guessed it, the federal EPA, as well as the state agency that serves as a lackey for the EPA. You know, several years ago, I helped Rhonda Thurman gather signatures to put the proposed county wheel tax on the ballot. Remember that, Rhonda? We defeated that handily. We didn't get a wheel tax. The voters stood up and said no wheel tax. Well, guess what? Huh? This emissions inspection is a wheel tax, and we need to get rid of it. If you're lucky, the wheel tax only comes to $10 a year, plus the time and hassle of actually going to the government-approved but privately operated inspection station. Wonder whose buddy got the contract on those. If you're not so lucky and your car doesn't pass the emissions inspection, then your wheel tax can amount to hundreds of dollars in car repairs. And so, and those are unnecessary. And these are just a couple of examples of how excessive federal government flows downstream and becomes excessive state government and excessive local government. So we have to fight it at all levels. The good news is there's a movement for the several states, Tennessee included, to push back against the federal government and say no more. And all I can say is it's about time. For example, in the current session of the state legislature, there are two separate resolutions that have been introduced to assert Tennessee's sovereignty under the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. You know, the one that says if it's not explicitly listed in Article 1, Section 8, then it's reserved to the states or the people. It's about time we enforce that. We all need to contact our state legislators and get them to support that bill. There's also a bill being considered in the House and the Senate to reject the federal Real ID mandate. We again need to contact our state officials and say no to unfunded, unconstitutional federal mandates. We're not going to do it. There's also, unfortunately, a bill in the legislature to require Real ID. We need to fight that one for all we're worth. Yeah. Last but not least, we need to contact our county commissioners and tell them to tell the EPA to take a hike. Vehicle inspection programs have been shown time and time again not to live up to the predictions of computer models. There are other much better and more efficient ways to ensure clean air. The one thing we have found for sure is that no sooner do we attain whatever air quality standards the EPA sets forth, they change it and make it more restrictive. They've done it to us twice already. So according to them, we're still out of compliance. I'm breathing fine. How about you? Guess what? If they keep changing the rules and telling us that the air it was okay to breathe yesterday is somehow not good enough today, we will always be out of compliance. It's time to stop playing their game. We need to tell our county commissioners, and I saw one of them over here, to end this worthless emission inspection program. And if they won't, we need to elect some new commissioners. These are just a few of the things we need to act on at the local and state level. Taxes are taxed at any level. They all add up. And they're all costing us money and keeping us from living our lives as we see fit as free Americans. So let's work together to fight the oppressive hand of government at all levels. Thank you for your attention and your support, and God bless America.